Go ahead.
Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Cassandra Sutherland, and I'm the Co-Executive Director of End of Life Washington. The Death with Dignity Act, also known as medical aid in dying, has been legal in Washington for over 15 years. The act allows terminally ill adults with less than 6 months to live to request a prescription for aid in dying medications. This allows qualified patients to have the compassionate option of a peaceful death at the time of their choosing. This law contains multiple strong safeguards to ensure the decision is voluntary and well considered. The changes before you today do not change any of the safeguards of the law. The 7-day waiting period between the two oral requests for some is too long. The exemption of the waiting period could grant a small group of qualified patients who don't have 7 days access to a compassionate death of their choosing. Despite what you might hear today, I want to clarify that the Death with Dignity Act is not assisted suicide. Aid in dying deaths are nothing like suicides. The people who are using this law aren't choosing to die, they are actually already dying. Participation is voluntary, and the patient can rescind their request at any point in the process. Even the best palliative and hospice care cannot alleviate all suffering. Advanced age, disability, dementia, and chronic health conditions are not qualifying diagnoses for aid in dying. People with disabilities do not qualify to use this law on the basis of their disability alone. In 25 collective years and available evidence from across the nation, there has never been a case related to the coercion of a person with a disability to use this law or coercion of any person to use this law. Even the most proactive and supportive patients run out of time or face barriers, and 7 days can be too much. I urge you to vote yes on this bill. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of House Bill 1876. I'm Dr. Jess Kaan, the Medical Director for End of Life Washington. Briefly, I'll just point out that Section 3 of this bill provides much-needed clarification in the language that was adopted in 2023. There's been a lot of confusion and barriers in small organizations such as hospices where there may be only 2 independent providers, such as physicians and nurse practitioners. So clarifying the language in Section 3 is much needed. But more critically, this bill will allow an exemption to the 7-day waiting period. And I know that for us here, 7 days seems short, but as Representative Peterson pointed out earlier, time can telescope for those who are dying miserably, and every day can feel like an eternity. Imagine a patient with rapidly progressing ALS who's losing the ability to move or swallow. They know that their body is failing, and they're terrified that they won't be able to take the medication before they lose the capacity to do so. Or consider a patient with advanced pancreatic cancer who's in excruciating pain. They're forced to underuse their medications for pain, fearing that their mind will become too clouded before they can make the decision to end their life peacefully on their own terms. These are not imaginary cases. These are cases of real people who I have cared for, and they're spending their last week in a state of dread, uncertain that they will be able to be lucid or capable to make this choice at the end of the week. As someone who's licensed and provides aid in dying care also in Oregon, where there is an exemption, I can tell you firsthand that this brings relief to the patients who are in desperate need. They want control over their final days, not to be prisoners of a law that doesn't account for the speed at which their condition is deteriorating. So I urge you to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for this panel? Thank you for being here today. Representative Hill.